Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Alino of BarnBurner.ca. This is a BarnBurner TV network on Zingo TV channel 250. Once again, just download all the apps, the BarnBurner app, the Zingo TV app on the respective stores on iOS and Android, on Google devices, smart TVs 2016 and forward. This is a soccer show. We're happy to be joined by our guest, Carmen Asacco, York Lions master coach. How you doing, Carmen?
How you doing, Giancarlo? Things
Doing
well?
great. Yeah, doing great. A lot of news coming out in soccer. First, we'll start off with the CPL. Mo Babuli is the newest member of Forge FC, signed there, and he looks like he's going to be starting this tournament as a starting striker for them. So, what are your thoughts on the signing, and how do you think Mo Babuli will do in Forge?
I don't know about starting striker, but he's a dangerous. I had him with the Pan Am games, and he's a competitor, and he's a dangerous finisher in the box. Good in transition. You know, I saw him just before COVID hit, and he was trying to get fit. So that was 4 or 5 months ago. So I'm sure he's there now. When he's fit and when he's ready, he's a very dangerous player, and I think he could score goals in this league for sure. And we'll see. I mean, Bobby's usually very selective and very thorough. So he's probably done his homework on Mo and seen him for the last, at least since they've been back for sure. And if he's signed, then I think he's going to have an impact in that group for sure.
There's a lot of people that, as soon as he signed, they're saying, okay, now Forge, if they weren't a favorite, now they're overwhelming favorites. Is that what you're seeing with Mo Babuli signing, or are they maybe taking into account maybe his TFC experience more than what other players are doing in the CPL?
Well, you got to understand, Mo Babuli's last real kick at the was indoor professional soccer. So he hasn't played in a while. So it's going to take him a while to get back into the groove of things for sure. But like I said, he's a competitor. He's a very good player, very gifted player, especially in the box. But it's going to be his fitness. And don't forget, they had Anthony Novak last year, who proved himself, did very well. You know, they probably have different ideas of what's going to help them going forward. And I think what made them a little stronger was Maxime Tissot and that signing. Just like Edgar solidified their character mentality last year, I think Maxime Tissot will solidify the group's experience and strength and
Carmen, do you hear me? Oh, Carmen? Yeah, so as Carmen was mentioning there, Mo Babuli, he is a gifted player, strong in the box there for Forge. Should be interesting to see their lineup, how the tactics will change, maybe how the formation will change. The CPL tournament there, the Island Games, gets kicked off in PEI. So there's going to be a different format here, the group stage, where each team will play each other once, and then we'll see a knockout rounds type of thing. Will be a round robin before the final. So a lot of teams will get in the mix of things there. This whole idea of having the round robin after a group stage. Oh, we got Carmen back.
yeah.
All good, no worries. So Carmen, yeah, as you were bringing up there, like about Forge.
Yeah, I mean, again, always a competitive team, ready to compete. But I think the moves they made them a little more favorites. And I think Mo, but I still think, and I say this, as far as quality on paper, York 9 is way up there. You know, adding their Spanish striker with some Real Madrid experience, I think that if they get it together, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
And this whole format, like the group stage is like where everyone's going to play each other once, and then they get like another group stage where it's a round robin format before the final. So are we going to see some rusty play maybe in that first group? Is that why they're adding like two kind of round robin type scenarios here before we get to a final?
I think it's just to maximize viewership and maximize games. So yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of rust for sure, because I mean these guys are probably playing intra squads because they're not really going to get any games against other teams because it's just, you know, it's not legal right now in the COVID new world of soccer. So yeah, there'll definitely be a little bit of rust, but it's going to come down to the preparation, and they've been at it for a good 6 weeks now, 6 to 8 weeks. It's a long time. So they should be prepared physically. They should be prepared mentally, and we should see a good pace to the game. And you know, the managers will have a lot to do with what's going on as well. They're what's gone on in the last 6 weeks, how they've prepared their teams on the field, how they prepared the teams mentally and physically, and you know, and the cohesiveness of the locker room. And I say York 9 again because they've got some good players there that they've stayed pretty much to the course with their nucleus, and I think they're going to be ready. But I mean, you look at other teams that made a ton of changes, like Valor. Find their rhythm, and it's not to say that they won't, because they sporadic play, individual play, just like we saw when the MLS to get going.
And now with the CPL kind of getting back there, like how much of an indicator, like you mentioned the inter-squad game, and when you're coming up with tactics, like do you think these coaches have an idea of, okay, I'm going to start game one with this kind of group, this formation, or are these intra-squad games maybe more of an indicator than people thought that, okay, maybe a player's going to impress more, but maybe we didn't have him slotted in as that starting role? Could we see some surprises in some starting 11s?
League, and I think that the coaches are a good indicator. I think the analytics will be a very good indicator on but I still think that players need not players and knowing their players at this point.
Sorry, Carp, can you just repeat that? We just cut out 1 second there. Sorry about that.
Did we get any of that?
No, that's why. Can you just repeat that? Sorry, we just cut out and got back on here. Oh, Carmen? Can you hear me, Carmen? Just having some technical difficulties here on, but this is a soccer show here on Single TV channel 250. Carmen, you there?
I'm here. You hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I hear you. Yeah, can you just repeat that answer? Sorry about that. Just some technical difficulties here.
Giancarlo.
Yep, now I hear. So we're just having some technical difficulties there, but so just about the tactics of a player coming in, like if they impress an inter squad, can we see a surprise in the starting 11?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I think there's a lot of unknown players, especially the foreigners that did get in to the country. I think there's going to be I think preseason is going to be an indication of getting to know players. I mean, you look like the new coach at Pacific, a brand new coach. He's going to want to implement a style, and he's going to have his vision of what a proper player is, in his system. So, Calgary adds a Marcus Haber. How are they going to use him? Is he coming off the bench? Is he going to be a target? Is he going to be a reference point? Is he going to play off? Is Jordan Brown going to play off of him? So there's a lot of things that coaches have in their notes and in their mind. But again, sometimes managers come into a scenario and they say, we're going to play this type of system, that they don't have the quality of player to play that system, but they still force the issue, which kind of beats your head against a brick wall. So it's going to be very important in the next, it was very important to understand who you have, how you're going to maximize who you have, and how are they going to fit in. And, that might be a different player. That might be a player like Maury Donor coming in and surprising everyone and fitting into the system as an attacking player on the right. It could be all kinds of scenarios, that coaches are looking at, and and no player, there are not many players in this league have earned the right to be a number one on the list every day. So those things are going to be important, and the way they work and the work they put in, and the way that the coaches see them fitting in. And that's what Sigma and Calgary had from the beginning. They had a idea of knowing each other, an idea of system, idea of how to play together. So, and that speaks volumes to why they were successful, for sure.
I agree with you there. Should be interesting to see as the CPL get back into play with the Island Games. Good for Canadian soccer, good for all these players getting an opportunity again. But now we're going to transition to MLS as we welcome in John Nelson of OSG Sports. John, how you doing?
One interview session to the next and running around. So ready to go for the next 15 minutes of rapid fire. What do you got on your mind?
Yeah, so we're going to begin. I'm going to ask you this first, John. MLS's back tournament. The Orlando fairy tale is continuing, and I saw them play against LAFC, and then this last game against Minnesota, I'm going to have them as a favorites. Is this a game where Orlando should win against Portland?
No. Next question. No. I think that let's put it this way. Orlando City is markedly better under Oscar Pareja. You look at how they are up top with Nani Tesho and Chris Mueller. You look at a guy like Juan at right back. You see a guy like Pereira, who is one of the guys that likes to pull the strings behind that front line. They are markedly improved under Oscar Pareja. But I think that when you look at the game that they had against Minnesota United, where Minnesota United it was not the team that we'd seen from Adrian Heath. It was easy for Orlando City to function against that defense. I expected far more out of Minnesota United than we got. And when you have moments like you had with Nani, where you see the control that he has, it was a great diagonal on the first one, and he just calms it down with that first touch, puts it past Tyler Miller, and then gets the other one. And then obviously, when you're trying to get the field stretched and everything, it was Nani's header that sprung things the other way for their third goal on the board. But I think that when you're going up against Portland has proven themselves to be very stout defensively and taking advantage of their opportunities. I think that where Giovanni Savarese is concerned, he's done a great job coaching this squad to get them to where they are. And I know that, Carmen, I know that when you hear about coaches and everything, and you hear the word pragmatic, I know that a lot of you coaches just kind of sit there and you go, pragmatic, I don't want to, but that's not a bad word. And I think that Giovanni Savarese will be pragmatic in this match early next week. He'll take what Orlando gives him. I think he can take advantage of things defensively from his point of view. And then when you have a guy like Diego Valeri, who you've seen either start or you bring him in the 55th or the 60th minute to make that last push, you're seeing guys like Nish Goda come to the fore. You're seeing a guy like Jeremy Abobasi come and have a bit of a coming out party. Right now, Portland for me is is who I would pick, but I think that the odds makers and this is where Eric Cohen and I would disagree. Right now, Orlando's a slight favorite over Portland, but I would go with Portland in the MLS's back final.
And Carmen, similar question to you. Like, you see Nani coming in. This is a guy who has that pedigree of playing in Manchester United, playing on Portugal, that Euro 2016 run when they won it all. So do you think his experience is going to come into play here for Orlando if they want to win this and get into a Champions League spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
See, I come in and
are important. And I think
that frees him up when I
tournament has gone on, and their confidence is a good team. I mean, I think they started out okay with little. He's come onto the scene and been absolutely background music, and all of a sudden he's become maybe he needed that time off to get into a level of fitness or level. That's an interesting team. They've grown. Those are the things that have pushed or Japanese arithmetic with him. It's simple. Around him, and he knows that, and he gets them motivated. He gets the professionals, and they'll come through. So I think simplicity in the way of understanding that they're going to in their defensive half and take care. To the pragmatism, hats off to the simplicity of Portland. Herrera has instilled.
Yeah. And John, just follow up on that. Like, what are your thoughts on Nani when you see a guy come into MLS like that and have this kind of experience overseas? And he is a leader, like he's been a leader wherever he's been. So how important is that for Orlando going forward? And as evaluate who they can bring in and who they can maybe trade and type of signings they can make.
Well, and I think with Nani, and I think that Coach was right in there. You look at that kind of veteran experience, and I think that you have what we've seen from him, and you see what it's like when you see him turn it on, and to have those kind of moments like we had in the semifinal against Minnesota. I think that that's what fans of Orlando City were looking for when they brought him in the first place. And I think that when you have a coach like Oscar Pareja, when you have a guy like a Nani up top, and then when you can add guys like Pereira, and you can have a Tesho Akindele, who proved in Dallas that when he comes off the bench, he can be an offensive weapon for you. I think that, and obviously when you have a guy like Chris Mueller too, that front line can be very dangerous. But once again, you're going up against a defense with guys like with Chara that are integral to all of this. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup. But I think for Orlando, winning cures attractiveness for a player. And while right now Orlando is kind of in between in that MLS, they're leaning toward, they're right now still a bit of an MLS 2.0 team for me, where you're still bringing in talent like Anani, who's was on the north end of 30 when he was brought in. I think that when you can bring in talent like Nani, you have a coach like Oscar Pareja, you see the kind of results. Now remember, Orlando City, I believe, was either first or second into the bubble in the first place. It was them and San Jose. They were the first two teams that were in the bubble. So they had a lot of time to get reoriented to life in the bubble, to understand one another under Oscar Pareja, to figure out what Oscar Pareja wants his system to look like. So a lot of these external factors coming into play, but for anybody who is a soccer player who's watching what they're seeing with Orlando City in this new version of Orlando City with Luis Muzzi and Oscar Pareja, I think that winning makes it attractive. And I know that sounds like a very simplistic argument, but especially with a team that has never made the playoffs like Orlando City in a year like this, when you see what we've seen, I think that it could make it very, very attractive. And don't think for a second that Luis Muzzi, his cell phone won't be buzzing with a bunch of agents who want to be a part of something like this going forward. So it's an interesting time if you're a fan for Orlando City, seeing what you're seeing with the growth of this team in this particular tournament, where they're only a win away from a CONCACAF Champions League spot. So you could see Orlando or Portland going up against Saprissa, or a team like that coming up very, very quickly, like an Olympia. I mean, it would be whenever they figure out what CONCACAF Champions League looks like, you're one win away, but I think you've made a big impact in Orlando City, and having a guy like Nani show out like he did in the semifinal helps when it comes to attracting players.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. It should be interesting to see that big game going on there. MLS's back tournament final, and then the season should be up and running soon. But as we close out this shortened episode of the Soccer Show, John, how can we follow you on social media?
Easiest way is on the Twitters at OSG Nelson. And now that I have my phone right next to me, you can also download the OSG Sports app, available on iOS and Android. See right there. There it is, OSG Sports. For all the content that's fit to talk about, whether it doesn't matter what the sport is, soccer, wrestling, lacrosse, college football, all across the board. OSG Nelson on Twitter, Cute Sports Guy on Instagram, John Freeman Nelson on Facebook. And don't forget Soccer Down Here Daily Radio as well, at Soccer Down Here on Twitter, Jason Longshore and myself. And that is the night shift on Zingo TV channel 250, where it's at 10 o'clock Eastern time, or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. It varies in my head sometimes. And I forget the email. When I see the email, it disappears in my head sometimes. But late night answers, show is live 9 a.m. until 11, whatever. The video version that you see on Twitch is the late night answer that you see on Zingo TV channel 250.
Are you replacing the late night vampire? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it depends. It depends on how much caffeine I have in my system. So, Living Legends Late Night, Jason Longshore and myself on Zingo TV channel 250.
Sounds good. And Carmen, how can we email you and follow you on Twitter?
It's at Carmen Isacco on Twitter. And I think you're supposed to be in charge of it as which has that great profile. There he is. Carmen at Carmen Isacco on Twitter. That's exactly right, isn't it? He's still staring. I think so. Yeah, you're in charge of his Twitter account, Giancarlo. It's at Carmen Isacco on Twitter, and it's it's gonna be really good to see the island action for the CPL. It's gonna be fun.
I'm back, and I agree with you, John. I think that CPL is going to be fun. Sorry about this, guys.
No worries.
I'm not in Muskoka, and I'm not in the 10th.
and it was weird that you had better reception in Muskoka and in the tent than you do there in the Casa.
Kids, just. But I'm good now. I'm good.
Good.
So yeah, follow all of them, all those accounts, especially at OSG Sports. Get that app there. Follow Carmen Isacco at Carmen Isacco. Email them if you want to throw in your questions there. And this has been an episode filled with a little bit of technical issues. We made it work, but guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games that are coming up, and catch up next week.
Be good.
See you, John. Bye-bye.
Take care.